everyone. I'm your host, Boston Antunez.
And I am your co-host, Moana Poyer, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Theater Project.
Moana, how do you... Dabbing will never go out. For those of you watching, I will always dab. Moana, how do you feel about 10 episodes?
It honestly doesn't even feel like it's been...
Nope.
10 episodes. I'm not gonna lie, I would probably say different if we were off camera. Not like if you asked me this right now and we were off camera, but if we were like editing or something like that, or like working on ideas, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, 10 episodes.
It just feels weird because it was like November, like the first episode does not feel that long ago, but thinking that it's already March is it's just weird. Mm-hmm. It's strange.
Because I was 18 when we started this.
And now you're 27.
And now I'm 27.
2 kids later.
Joined us on the show. But honestly, I feel like I have learned so many things and I've been able to meet so many different people. And like the people that we did know, I've learned sides of theater that I didn't even know they thought about or I would have never thought about. And then we've also had the opportunity to work and meet with people that I don't think we would have ever worked with before if it hadn't been for the show, like Jetta, Miles. We like kind of, but we would not, And so I think it's just been so awesome to be able to see different perspectives, definitely different like people who are already in the profession, you know, like more in a more professional setting, I guess, and just see how they got to where they are, what they're doing right now, what they plan on doing. And I think that's honestly been the best part.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see who we have on throughout the year. And just to let you guys all know, the Theater Project Season 2 will be running until the end of May. And then we're taking a good summer break off, and maybe we'll pop in here or there. And then we'll return for our year, our year landmark? What am I messing up?
Oh, yeah.
Anniversary.
Season 3 is going to start around our first anniversary,
Yes. So with that, you know, Moana said, I totally agree with it. It's been so fun to do the show for 10 episodes straight. So thank you to everyone at Bohemian Arts, the board, everyone, Jill, Danny, everyone, for your continuous support and guidance. It means a lot.
Yes, and of course, a huge shout out to BA's artistic director, Sean Barnett, for helping us along the way, being our sounding board and helping us even get this off the ground.
And a huge thank you to all of you who are watching, whether it be my mom, Moana's grandpa, family, friends, those of you who we don't know. It's been so rewarding to be putting on every month, and we hope you continue to watch. So thank you again. Diving on in, today's guests are near and dear to both Moana and I. As educators, they've taught us, as well as our peers, so much about theater, and they were able to give us the groundwork that we still use today, from adolescents to adults, because we're old. It has been wonderful to work with them both throughout different stages of our lives. Without them, Moana and I literally would not be doing what we are doing.
At all.
Like literally, no. So please welcome our theater teachers, Jennifer Stuart and Creighton Morrison. Here's everybody. Hi!
Hey!
Hi, you guys.
Hey!
Are we all here? Are we all good?
I haven't seen Mr. Morrison in so long.
Hold on. Oh, he's connecting.
One word. It's like...
He said one word.
It's
what
rhymes with...
My sound's not working. I'll be right back.
We know you were...
How are you doing, Morrison?
Good. Good to see you guys, man.
I know. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Now we're old.
I don't think I have talked or seen to Mr. Morrison. And
well, we talked to him that one time over the summer for like a second.
Oh, at my house, yeah.
Stuart's house. Yeah. And now it's weird because we want to have like a crisis every week that like we're old. Granted, like we're old for us. Like we're turning 20 this year. And we're like, but it's just like, it's weird to think about because I started with Morrison when I was like 15, same with Moana, and then Stuart, I was like 13. So it's just like, I was 14. Weird. Yeah, it's just weird. And like, granted, like it's old for me. My mom's like, you're 20, like you're not old. I'm like, but I feel old because
that sounds like forever ago. Because I was Into the Woods I was 14. I was 14. I'm about to turn 20.
You're a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, when you've taught for as long as we have, it all just like, we're like, oh, yeah.
Is it weird though, like seeing your students like have children and be married and like grabbing drinks with them? Like, is it weird like when that happens?
Yeah, I haven't had any have kids yet. I have some that are getting married. At least ones that I'm close to. I haven't had that yet. Have you, Creighton?
I have not yet. No.
Well, I'm engaged right now, so just kidding. You're invited. No, I'm just kidding.
I had a lot of my friends from high school that had gotten married like 17, you know, and on that track, and at a couple, and all of a sudden they're like, and I'm in the wedding parties for a couple of these, and like, they're like, when you get married? I'm like, I'm gonna get a girlfriend first, and I'm not in a big rush, so just back off, you know.
I'm good.
Yeah. Well, we are so glad you guys are here. And before we get started, we thought we would explain how we know these wonderful people. Boston and I were lucky enough to have Mr. Morrison as our high school drama teacher and Ms. Stewart as our community theater teacher and my middle school drama teacher. And there were often times when we were both doing shows with both of them at the same time. And with that, we were able to learn so many different things from these two highly skilled educators. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and ask our first question, which is, how did you guys begin teaching theater and what steps got you to where you are today?
You want to take it? You want to?
I guess you'll
take it.
Take that one first. You know what? Teaching theater, my degree is in theater, emphasis in performance. Jen and I both went to San Diego State University on that end. And then I kind of stepped away from it. I wasn't going straight into teaching, was not my original thing. So I'd stepped out, did some graduate work, did some work here and there. And then I kind of fallen out of it for a little bit. And then I just hit a point for my wife and I, we needed a career shift, and we were very geared towards education. For us, that was something that was really important for us. My wife's father is an educator, retired educator now. And then when we went back to get our teaching credential, I think teaching theater was always my end goal for it. But being in the community that we're in, and there's all of like 3 high schools, I was going, all right. So I went and got my elementary multiple subject teaching credential first. And kind of with that, and knowing that if something opened up, I could get in there. And I got lucky enough that something opened up, and I wound up doing a 1 year in middle school first, and then from there into the high school. And now it's been for me, I don't know, 12 or so years, I think now, for teaching theater specifically.
So yes, we both went to SDSU. I went in to SDSU thinking I wanted to do performance in the theater department, and then I took my first children's theater class, and it was like eye-opening. Creighton, I don't remember the name of that teacher. Do you know who I'm talking about? She was little, short hair, really tiny.
Maggie McCara.
There you go. See, that's why we keep you around.
No.
Yes. She taught this children's theater class, and it was like, this is what I want to do. And so I changed my emphasis to children's theater, and then I also did the musical theater path that way too. But then I also got my single subject English credential that covered theater. And so right out of my credential program, I did my student teaching in an English class, but also a theater class. So I got to experience what it was like student teaching in high school and in a middle school. And then once I got my first teaching job, actually right out of the gate, I taught theater. And it's so interesting because I always heard once I got into that credential program, you won't get a job. There are no theater teachers. That's always going to get cut. You're first on the chopping block. And I mean, I just think that we need more of us in this field, because there really aren't a lot of people that really do teach theater. And I don't want it to die out, because there is a place for it in schools. You both know you did it, and how important it is, and how kind of life-saving it kind of can be for kids. And so I think those are the steps that I took, and I'm just so glad I've been doing this. I think this is my 17th year teaching theater, 15 in this district. So long time.
Nice. Yeah, because I always say too, like I major in musical theater right now. And like teaching is always like an end goal somewhere along the path. And it's because of like people like you two that it's like, I see those types, and like that's the teacher I want to be. And I see the type of community work and the type of student-led work that both of you offer to your students. And like, I don't know, I think being a teacher is like one of the best things, especially a theater teacher, because
It's cool.
obviously I'm biased. It's just like you could get so many kids and new kids from all different backgrounds, and like it really is. It's always so cheesy, but it's just so true. Like it really is like such a knit community and family, and it's always like the best place.
And I think like teaching it, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for Creighton, but it's probably the same. Like we get to know kids in a different way than an academic setting. And I do teach in an academic setting too. I teach 7th grade language arts, and I get to know them in that way, just, readers and writers and that kind of thing. But in theater, it's just all that goes away, and they get to just be themselves. They get to be people. And, we like you're playing, and it's the best type of job I think there is.
Yeah, I think that level of play, and then depending what you're doing as well, when you're in rehearsals for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then maybe something else on a weekend that's big and extended rehearsal. And then depending what the work is, and we're trying to tap into some bigger emotional truth, than we get all nerdy theatery on that end, but we get to connect with people.
Yeah.
And in order to find that truth, you get to have some bigger discussions and conversations about stuff, so.
And then keeping in touch with those kids and getting to just know them outside of that environment. Like I wouldn't have kept in touch with you all of these years if it weren't for that commonality,
I watched Stuart's kids for a little bit, so.
Yeah, it goes full circle.
Because then they'll give you a job, so be nice to your teachers, because you could work for them one day. So moving on, from being both of your guys' students, I've learned so many different things from the both of you. And how would you say your approach to, because you guys teach in the same community, how would you say your approach to teaching, excuse me, I'm having an aneurysm, how your approach to teaching theater, and how does your individual processes maybe coincide, being in the same community, and us jumping from a Morrison rehearsal to a Stuart rehearsal, or just maybe how you two work together in some sort of way, or keeping in touch, or what have you?
We collaborate all the time. We talk all the time.
It's like, did you hear this one kid? Right.
That does happen. Does happen. When you have a question and you know that another teacher's worked with that student, oh, you bet it happens. So learn that, everybody. Teachers.
We're a small town.
Yeah.
No, and that's just like sometimes you just get some extra insight. You're going to be working with somebody. And so every now and then, it's like anything, especially I think the work that we do when it comes to acting stuff, sometimes you're, like I said, we're hitting things on an emotional level sometimes. So every now and then it's like, hey, I'm trying to connect to this kid, something,
Yep.
So sometimes we'll do that sort of reach out like that.
I've had it too, like I've struggled with someone from our city show way in the past. You've worked with him. He was not able to connect with the material, and he kept asking me questions and was never satisfied with his performance. And it was like, no matter what I said, even trying in different ways, it wasn't clicking. And so I was able to call Creighton. I'm like, you've worked with the student. I think you have him. What are some things, what are tips that maybe I didn't think of? And we help each other like that. Because it is hard. We're the only theater teachers at our school sites, right? There's only one. Most everyone else in every department has other people that teach the same thing that they can bounce ideas off of all day long. So we're kind of like that for each other. And even actually with the other guys at the other high schools too. And I, keep in contact with the middle school ones. We just have to, because it is hard. And there really aren't a whole lot of like textbooks that teach us the way to do it. So it is just a lot of kind of talking through stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know on our Theater Friends episode, I'm pretty sure it was Gabby was talking about how she didn't do theater at Great Oak. So she didn't have the opportunity to work with Morrison, but I think it was Bye Bye Birdie.
Mm-hmm.
She said that Morrison was able to come in, and she was like, that was definitely like I don't know, like
different change of pace.
Definitely a change of pace, because obviously she's learned under Miss Stewart and she's gained so much from that. And she hasn't really worked under anybody else. So having Morrison's like different perspective come in, especially I don't know, I guess in different places that she didn't usually think about. She just said that was so beneficial. And I'm pretty sure she said that on the episode too, about the collaboration between you two and how beneficial that was in terms of creating that character, and how that was probably one of her favorite characters because of that. And I definitely agree with that.
Well, I think that was that was a blast. And that was Jen
That was
kind of
fun
going,
having
hey,
you there.
come on, let's hey, come and be a part of this. And Jen was unapologetically just kind of like, hey, I have no ego here, you know, like, and I would say, hey, do you mind if I check on this? Or what do you think of this? She'd be, go. Just kind of this thing of just, and that kind of a great trust. And, you know, that was my first time, you know, kind of playing on that end, and we're friends and all that. But I was also like, I don't want to step on anybody's toes or whatever. But then it was like, go play. Like you said, we're going to go play. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
I wasn't even in the show, and I was there that week just to help out, and I like loved seeing you, Morrison, go work with like kids that didn't know who you were, because obviously we knew you from high school. And then I just think it's so beneficial, and people like, even at my school, like we have different musical theater teachers every semester, because you're getting a new perspective. And I think that's what makes everything so special, is because you can't just learn one thing from one person. And I think that was what was so special at such a young age, to have Stuart and Morrison and us going back and forth all the time.
And that show was fun just because I think the only reason you were even coming in is because we decided to do a parent number, because parents come to us all the time. Can we be in the show?
Yeah.
I have a part that I'd like to be. Can I have a line? So we're like, all right, let's do a parent number. So they would come in for rehearsals. Yeah, right? They would come in for rehearsals, and I'm like, wait, you are a parent in my show, but you also teach theater. Yes.
Well, and my kids were in it.
Yeah.
My little ones were in it. So it was like, well, hey, we're at rehearsal.
Yeah, he didn't randomly just show up to be in the show. His children were in it. Yes.
Yeah. And so then it was there, and it's just like, hey, we're playing. This is work. This is what we do. Okay. You know.
You're like, move aside, kids. It's my time.
Coming in with a resume and a headshot, and he's like, hi,
I'm ready to go.
You know what? When I think you were going with the earlier side of the question is kind of like, how do we collaborate, or going from one program to the other type of thing. And you know what? I'm sure we could do more of that than what we do. And I think there's a side of it. And I think most theater teachers in the district or within a school district could probably attest to it. You're kind of hammered down just running your own program as much as you possibly can to keep that going. And so sometimes you live in a bubble, you know. Yeah. And I know sometimes I don't probably reach out enough as much as I need to, you know. And I think if anything, I'd say probably some of the differences in our work is going to be age, but obviously because it's going middle school to high school. You know, the content, you know, you're not going to do. We ended our last year before COVID. We got our final show in a week before the school shut down. We did Carrie the Musical. You're not doing Carrie the Musical in middle school.
We did Frozen.
Yes, and you know, and the year before that, our musical, we did Evil Dead, the high school edition musical. You're not going to see that anywhere else, anywhere, you know.
You know, it's like material. Yeah, you're getting that different change of pace and material, and it's all good work.
Yeah, and then so I think that there's a difference on that. So when we go, I think with some of the work, and the type of trying to push a character development or tapping into little emotional truth stuff, you know, I think that's part of the scaffolding on that where the difference comes in. So which is why sometimes I'll have kids that have done middle school, and I'm getting it right now, where they go, hey, I've done middle school I've been theater in middle school for X amount of years. Can I take your advanced drama class? And I'm like, no, you need to step in first. And no matter how much experience you've got, you're going to get something out of this, because we're going to deal with the new content. It's
all different. Everything is different. I think that a lot of kids that come out of Vail Ranch middle school drama can go audition for your musicals, and they're like on fire, like they're ready to go. They're really good. By the time, if they start with me in 6th grade, you know, in advanced drama, they've done 9 musicals by the time they hit high school. So they're already like, they know how it's done.
And on that, I went to a different middle school, but on that, we just did mostly middle schools too. And I remember there was a moment specifically, and I did my first straight play with Morrison. You were telling me, you're like, stop like being like performative, because I was like so used to musical theater, and like, what do you mean I'm singing and dancing and I'm performing? And you were like, no, like look at them. And like it just clicked, and like it just made so much sense in doing, you know, that sort of material that straight theater material, which I love now,
Like,
is like so beneficial. And I literally remember that moment of Morrison being like, just talk to, like, look at them, because I was like, I need to cheat out, they need to see me. And he was like,
he's like,
no,
less
just,
is
like,
more, bring it down.
Right.
Down.
And so, you know, and then from that moment on, if someone hadn't done a straight play yet, I'd be like, you need to do one, because it's just, it changes your whole world. It changes how you think about everything that you do in musical theater. You're going to take what you learn in that straight play and then apply it to that, and then your performance is just like 10 times better. All of the work is important, and it's
all of it.
Take the work you're doing on a song. It's the same work you do busting out a good monologue.
Mhm.
All the character research and all of the depth, and it's all of that. But we're just working on a different level of truth with your performance sometimes.
Right.
And even then, that's a weird thing to say. No, it's still truth no matter what. So
No, I know what you mean though. Yeah.
All right. So we've been asking all of our guests, because obviously we're in Zoom land, how the pandemic has shifted gears and, you know, gears in everyone's profession. So if being a teacher wasn't hard enough, how has teaching over Zoom affected / changed the way you teach, especially in theater? And, you know, whether it be directing or just even connecting with students, like how have things have shifted?
you want to take that one first?
All right. It's definitely been a challenge, but I think it's made me a better teacher, if I'm being honest. I think, you know, I'm so used to going from show to show to show, and we're always in one rehearsal and the next rehearsal, and I just was able to explore different things in theater that I never have the time to do when we are in the physical classroom. I spent a lot of time on radio plays this year. A lot of scenes, a lot of monologue work. We actually put together, and Moana helped edit it, our first Zoom musical. It was very exciting. But even that 30-minute musical took, oh my goodness, 2.5 months to put together, because it's just that time consuming, and there's just not as much you can do. We spent a lot of time on just vocal things and facial expressions and stuff, because I can't really work body movement in this little tiny screen. But it's just, I don't know, it's just made me adapt and try and think outside the box, and know that it's like, okay, if we don't finish something by a certain day, there isn't a specific deadline. It's okay. And it's helped us just kind of enjoy a little bit more. And I think some of the stress has been taken off the kids, where they don't have to audition all the time and like constantly working those skills, which I love, of course, that's my thing, and getting them better at that. But just taking a step back and going, it's okay. What do we really need to get out of this class? And maybe sometimes it's just, we need 10 minutes to just laugh and hang out and catch up and be together, because this is the only hour of the day where they are themselves, you know. Or like today, the whole class showed up wearing Disney ears, because why not? It's Wednesday. Like, let's just do that. So I don't know. It's been rough, and I miss seeing everybody in person. I miss my students. I have them for so many years at a time, but it's also, I don't know, there's a bright light to it too, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's like, I tell you, there's, especially at the start of the year in particular for this year, it was really just, I felt defeated, man.
Yeah.
Because there is so much stuff and a process, especially and I know with a lot of my classes, and especially in the beginning drama class, there's some steps and procedures and building to the work, and building a level of trust in the classroom to become a safe space and become a community in that space where you can explore performance and explore your work and explore the art, you know. And there was structures to that we did, and games that we played to that, and suddenly that wasn't there, you know. So we had to do some shifting and changing, and then there was always that thing, well, maybe we're going to go back, so I'm going to hold off on this little performance thing because maybe we're going to go back, you know. So that was really kind of disheartening a little bit. But within that, though, we like you said, Jen, we found some new things. I found a new project I'm probably going to be doing, especially for my advanced drama class, and like making our own podcasts and building other storytelling things. And then even on that end, like I said, I've had to start learning new tools to do that type of thing. You know, so there's been all these other steps. I've had other lessons that I've been doing that because of working on this format, I had to go through and update those lessons and really tighten the screws on them, because when I'm live and in person having a discussion physically in my room, when I've got everything, I've got that down. I can do that in my sleep and I love it, but suddenly, well, I don't have all those same tools there. So yeah, you gotta rethink things. So I know as of late, it's usually something I do a lot earlier in the year, but we've been playing a lot of improv on Zoom, and honestly, it's been an absolute blast. You know, it's usually one of those things we do earlier in the year, but you get to know kids so much more through that. You see some kids that suddenly weren't game for it, suddenly they are. In this current learning format, and I know at the high school we have our intervention time, so if we're in class doing improv and I got a couple kids that are still deathly afraid to get up in front of everybody, well, they come and join me in a small group intervention, and we get to talk about where they're at with that work and play some of the improv games. And I've done that with a couple of kids, and then we turn around, they go back in class the next time and they've got their camera on, and it's the first time they've had their camera on all year.
Oh,
That's
and then
awesome.
they're played a game for the first time with their camera on, and they had a laugh about it when they're done.
This platform and having to change has definitely opened up some doors for new ideas and new things. And they're not ideas or doors that have to be closed once this is over. Like once we go in person, like these are all like tools that we can take into what we proceed to do from this point on. It's not like
this show wouldn't even happened if it wasn't for Zoom.
Yeah,
you know?
this for example. And Mr. Morrison, I saw that you guys just did a reading. How did that go?
Yeah, we did a cold read of Sarah Rule's Dead Man's Cell Phone. We had to do some very specific strike-throughs content-wise, because it's got some mature stuff, but we made sure we did that. It was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. We tried to make sure we got scripts out to people ahead of time, so it wasn't a straight-up cold read. And we got to see a number of performers that are there that were able to kind of flex those muscles a little bit in a way that they haven't been able to a whole lot. You know, as some kids doing IB work right now, and we haven't been doing a whole lot of after school performance stuff that we'd usually do for our after school program, where, you know, we're usually doing, 3 shows in the improv troupe, and we're just, kind of hammered down all year, and we haven't had that. And so I got to see somebody, for example, I'll call him Cameron Westland, stepped in with one of the characters, and he opened up Act 2, and he's got like 6 straight pages that are all him at the opening of Act 2. And he came in and he did his work, and he came in prepared and sounded natural as can be, did everything an actor you would want from someone to come in, making character choices, and you could hear is justified. He came in prepared and ready to go. And, and everybody did a great job. That was just, one, like a nice kind of standout moment. And you also saw the work on that one as a senior that's been doing that for a while. For if somebody was walking in, I know there was a couple freshmen that were watching that, to be able to have that moment to kind of go, hey, go have a look at this guy's work right now. Somebody that's been playing it and been in it for a while. That was a thing within that moment that just made my day. Being able to sit and do that work and see the students step up and take ownership of it and have fun with that. It was a blast. It was an absolute blast.
That's awesome.
So we got to organize our next one now. We got to see what we're going to do next.
Because I know I saw that on, I think it was the Great Oak Theater Company's Instagram, and I didn't know if you guys had done like any shows since we've been on Zoom, or if you guys have done like a meeting or a reading like that, because I know that was the first time at least I saw it. So I was like, that is so fun. And I saw a lot of new faces, and I saw like my little old friends who are going to be graduating this year, and I was like, that is so awesome.
And with Stuart too, Moana's always talking to me about editing the shows that you recorded and just seeing all those kids who it's so hard. It's already hard what we do in person, and then to do it online, like it's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's so hard.
But that video that you edited, MTI, we got the rights to do it through MTI, yep. Because there isn't it's a newer show. We did Dear Edwina online. It's supposed to be a 20-minute Zoom musical for kids. So we decided with our drama class, let's target elementary school kids, because you guys are always wanting to do older things that make you feel like you're older and in high school, but let's look at who's younger than you and give back to them, because they're not getting any kind of arts experience like this. So let's do a show geared towards that age group. And so we put it together, and we're trying to find reference recordings online to practice with. And they're not there. So MTI wants ours. They asked for it. We sent it to them this week. Yep, they want to check it out because they might use it.
That's awesome.
Are they going to give you a discount on your next show?
I was hoping. I was going to throw that out there.
We were talking about the approach earlier, and your guys' different approach. I know, Ms. Stewart, you work more so, not only, but like more so with musical theater, at least in my experience. And Mr. Morrison, I know you have an appreciation for like straight plays, and because you guys have more opportunities to do them in the high school and like different. And I was wondering what your guys' different approaches were for musical theater, because you guys talked about the age groups a little bit. But what about musical theater versus plays, and how you would go about those?
I've directed plenty of plays too. I'm a musical theater at heart kind of person. I think that's just, I don't know, that's my thing. I think the approach is pretty similar. The only thing is that's really challenging. When you're auditioning, like you really need strong actors and stuff. And I think a lot of times just when casting a musical, you've got your choreographer who's like, but I need this dancer. And then you have a vocal person, you're like, but they can sing. And then as the acting person, you're like, but that's the best actor. What do I do? And you have that struggle. It has that extra layer of like, and then which one wins? And it's like the battle of which one wins. And ultimately, it's the singer. It has to be. Whether it's a play, whether it's a musical, it's a one act, a full length, it doesn't matter. It just, you get the people in front of you, and then it feels right. I don't even know how else to explain it.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's the nerdy side where we are talking about an art. So it's the same thing. Sometimes if you're looking at a painting and it's like, this thing moves me, it strikes me, and I don't know why, but it does. It just is. That's one of the reasons I love casting. And as I think Moana and or Boston, you guys mentioned, I try as much as I can to get students involved in that process all the way. So during a casting, I will have the assistant directors and stage managers with me. And especially in the beginning, for a lot of those students, it's the first time they've been on that side of the audition. But then when people come up and perform and then they step out, everybody collectively in the room, it's kind of like, yeah, that was it.
Without even explaining it, you just know. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll have those discussions collectively to kind of see, well, what is it? Well, what did you see? Why? Okay, I want to make sure we're on the same page. What are we looking at? And then sometimes when you get it down, like I said, you get those couple people, down to this person can act it and this person can sing it. And then you got to do a little extra work on that one. It helps to have those sounding boards a little bit.
I think those have definitely been some of the most beneficial things that I've been able to be a part of, being on the other side of the table, since I haven't had that much experience with that. But especially, and I think you guys are both really, really good with that, like incorporating your students to making sure that they know kind of every aspect of the theater. Because I know Boston and I have probably done, we've helped cast for, at least like Ms. Stewart, we've helped cast. Boston has helped choreograph. Now I've helped edit. We've both done lighting and sound for both of you. And so I know like that has both made us like very well-rounded people. And I know Morrison is always about like student incorporation. And I think it was advanced drama where he took us to the lighting booth, the sound booth. He was like, this is this, this is this. And I know when we were talking with Miles, last episode, he was saying, I think all actors need that. All actors need to know every aspect of the theater, whether or not you're going to go into it. Like those all make up your performance, whether you're doing it or not. and you have to be aware of that all, and it just makes a more
When
well-rounded.
you appreciate everybody's contributions, because it is not just about actors. It's just
We have
not.
the easy job. Ours is the easiest
It's just not.
job.
There is so much that goes on, and especially if you are going into this art, the more you know, the more opportunities you have for work, you know,
Right.
down the line as well. The respect for what's got to happen, but then, hey, you know what? I don't have that particular acting gig at the moment. Sorry, you don't have that acting gig at the moment, but you're helping out that same theater company, like I said, by running lights, and then you might fall into something where you find something new.
Remember that lighting class? We had to take it in college,
Mm-hmm.
but it was all book work. And until you get in and do it, you don't know. I wish we had more of that back in the day.
That's actually the one part that's been hard about being online, because though you guys know, it's all about doing the work. It's all about getting up and let's create something. Let's make a piece of theater. Let's get up there and go do it and craft it. And so that's the part that, like on Zoom, that kills me sometimes, because that level of engagement's different. So yeah, I agree. And that's actually the hard part, dealing with lighting, for example, or the sound booth, even at the high school level, especially right now, if we go back to school with our restrictions for being 6 feet apart, right? The sound booth that I have at my high school, you can only put one person in there. I literally wouldn't be able to show somebody and teach them how to use the stuff, because we will not be able to be maintain social distance within that given space because of where the equipment physically is in the room.
Not to mention miking them.
Yeah. And so then if I have a class of 40 kids in this, yeah.
And so to kind of wrap this up, I know you guys have already touched on it a little bit, but what is the most inspiring thing to you guys about being a teacher? What keeps you teaching, essentially?
Coffee. No, but honestly, it's students. It's students. It's like the work I saw the other day, watching students take ownership of it, of their work, and especially when you're working on a show or whatnot, and seeing it start from one thing and turn to something else, and know that it happened with all that collaboration along the way, and watching students have some epiphany and discovery about themselves, and watching students grow and come into their own, and then forging that friendship within our little theater families that we have. So
pretty much the same. I don't know of another job that I would ever want to do. Like, I don't feel like it's work, I guess. I love seeing my students I get them when they're so young. I get them sometimes when they're 6 or 7 and all the way through, and then in their 20s and stuff. It's like human connection. It's just seeing where they go and what they do, and knowing that, I can be their teacher, and then when they grow up, I can just be their friend. Like, they're adults, and it's very cool, and it never feels like work. I don't ever spend a day like going, oh, I have to create today. Well, that's about right. I don't know. Like, I never feel like that. Or when I'm in rehearsals, and it's, sometimes there are days when you're in rehearsal and you don't go outside and you're stuck in your multi-purpose room or your theater, or at Old Town Theater for me, and you're there all day and you don't go out until it's nighttime, but you're in a dark theater with the lights on, and it's like a happy place. I don't want to be anywhere else. And I also think the other thing that's the coolest is watching kids who don't always fit in another place. No matter what, it's safe for them. It just is. And like, no matter where any of like my alumni students are, it's just like a phone call. Like when, Brooke Morris passed away a couple of years ago. It's been, what is it, a year and a half now? Almost?
I think so, almost.
Over a year, a little over a year. It was like,
maybe more.
Yeah, all of these kids that I had, that are all across the country and in college and whatever, every one of them called me, like reached out and just called me. And I think, I don't know another profession where you have that kind of connection with people and it still lasts, it's pretty cool. I would not want to do anything else.
And I think you called it too, Jen, making that safe space for people, and that, like, creating that home and having that. And every now and then, I know you're not always aware of what impact you may have had on somebody, until sometimes I know our senior year on our campus, we'll have this little senior banquet, and sometimes kids will talk about that, and they have a lot of seniors that are graduating, kind of trying to pass on knowledge to the coming kids, to like give them a heads up as to what's the best way they can make the most of this situation. And sometimes it's within those dynamics, or students when they're leaving writing little notes to me or something, or I'll suddenly discover like the safe place that was made, and that, or some sort of impact that helps remind me to, oh yeah, I gotta make sure I keep doing that.
The other cool thing, I just wanted to throw it in there because so many times, it happens every time actually, you have auditions and kids want the lead parts. Like that's just what they do. But after every single show in the past 17 years that I have taught, not once at the end of a show are they bummed that that wasn't their part. They're congratulating who got the part, and it's about the experience and the process. That's what it is. That's all it is at the end of the day. And every time that we've debriefed a show, because you do every time, what was your favorite part? What did you learn? How did you grow? It's never about, oh, I played this part. It wasn't that. It's never about the role that you played. It just isn't. It's so much more than that. And I hope that kids, they're always disappointed. It's just how it's going to go. But that they really learn that it really is the process. It's not bragging rights. It just doesn't matter what part you play. It just doesn't.
Yeah. And
The whole
Moana, like
parts
that.
tell a story. All of the parts.
Yeah. I think Moana Boston know that we are always, it's about the company. It's not about us.
Yes.
It's not about the individual. It's about everybody coming together. Because like you said, it doesn't work without everybody.
No. Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for answering that.
Yeah.
We have had a blast having you guys on, and we are so grateful that you guys could come and sit down and talk with us. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to talk to you too. And thank you so much for instilling such great value and education in us as performers and people. And we are so honored to have had you on today. And we can't wait to see what you guys continue to do for your students like you have for us.
Keep in touch.
Thank you.
You will,
Absolutely.
of
Yes. Hey guys, thank you very much.
Bye,
It
you
was a blast.
guys.
Of course. Right.
Yes.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us for our 10th episode.
Yes. And before we go, we're going to say it. Make sure you're following Bohemian Arts on all social media platforms. It is a great way to stay up to date with all of future projects, as well as any TTP announcements. And you can also head over to the Bohemian Arts website to find out everything BA related, including but not limited to Boston's monthly musical theater dance class, and which 100% of the proceeds goes to furthering our work here at the Theater Project. And another huge shout out to Jennifer Stuart and Creighton Morrison for joining us on our 10th episode. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Boop a doo boop boop ba doo doo do 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 do. Don't even put in our music, just put my voice over it.